Now, and we're
Yep.
recording. So cool. Michael, welcome back to my podcast. I love having you as always.
Thank
We're
you.
live on Facebook, so if you want to jump on there and check for comments, that's awesome.
Yep.
You and I were chatting this morning at Dark 30 about possibly what we might do in the next 12 months, how to leverage some things, how to succeed. And I said, hey, let's talk about that today because I'll cancel all my other training, because when you put two minds together, together we have combined 60 years in real estate. You know that?
Holy cow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So I think we're
Wow. We're old, dude. We're
know.
so old.
I know.
Oh
And
my
20
God.
of those years we spent together. What a great little time. So let's chat, man. Let's just have a normal chat about, we've come out of recessions before, we've come out of earthquakes before, we've come out of, all kinds of weird stuff before. And I'm dying to hear your thoughts on the next 12 months, what we're going to do and how we're going to have fun and how we're going to uplift our teams and bring us back into normal, buddy. What do you think?
Man, I got to tell you, it's funny. I was literally just before this, I was on Super Agents Live with Toby Salgado. Super cool guy. You know, Toby, smart cat, really good guy, super smart. And we were having a very similar conversation. And, it's interesting, people right now, I'll tell you the danger right now. You want to know the biggest danger that agents face today? It's complacency. Right now, everybody's making tons of money. It seems really easy. And, the money's out there. I mean, people are buying and selling like crazy. There's a shortage of inventory. So buyers are more motivated than ever to make these offers, and prices are going up, and agents are making money hand over fist. And by the way, good. I want you guys to make money hand over fist, right? But what we got and what we need to remember is whether people are buying or selling, whether market's going up or down, it really doesn't matter. As long as we get in front of those transactions as agents, we'll be successful. Here's the problem. The problem is that when people begin to have success, and Mike, you have seen this as much as anyone, you have witnessed agents go through this over and over and over again. When we start to see success, we start to believe our own hype. And we start to think it's us, right? And I'm telling you, man, I'm seeing that happen right now. I'm seeing egos getting inflated, and it's funny because in March and April, it was the exact opposite. And all of a sudden now, here we are in August, and everybody's making all this money, and all of a sudden the egos are back. And everybody's thinking, oh, I'm doing great, and I can change my lifestyle now because things are. I want you guys to stop thinking like that, and I want you to go back to freaking March, and I want you to start thinking like March, and I want you to fix your freaking habits, because here's what's going to happen. If you don't keep your foot on the gas right now, guess where you're going to be in 12 months? You're going to be wishing you had kept your foot on the gas right now. And Mike, how many times have we seen this? And we keep having to tell agents, it's like money in the bank, right? How many agents right now can honestly say they have 6 to 12 months worth of expenses in cash in the bank? I know you can, but how many agents can really say that? Very few. And by the way, if they can say it right now, give me another 6 months, wait till November, December, because here's what happens. All these agents got all this money right now. Most of them will not set it aside. Most of them will spend it as fast as they get it, right? They'd always say a fool and his money are soon parted, right? And so most of them will spend it as fast as they can. And guess what's going to happen come November, December? They're going to be out of money, and they won't have the momentum. They won't have the pipeline because they took their foot off the gas, and the election is over, and it doesn't matter who freaking gets elected. It's going to change things. Soon as the election is over, this money that's being thrown at people right now, it's going away, folks. I got news for you. They're not going to keep letting you work from home and paying you an extra now, instead of $6, now it's $400 a week just to sit your butt on the couch and play freaking Xbox while you don't pay rent. They're not going to let that continue. And so guess what? Your clients are going to be affected. Your business is going to be affected, and every other business out there is being affected by it right now. And that's why all the businesses are going out of business. And anyway, Mike, I should get off my soapbox, but at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I wanted you to say, because I can say it to these guys until I'm blue in the face, but I need help. I need somebody else pushing this with me because, honestly, the market's been so good. And yeah, we got stopped a little bit by COVID, but then next month, our inventory is like ridiculous. And I had a conversation with a couple agents over the weekend. My team is writing offers out there. We're doing everything we're supposed to be doing. And I'm talking to these little craphead agents that are cocky as hell. And I just want to slap them through the phone and say, I cannot wait until you're coming into my office for an interview because you want my 40,000 leads. Oh, sorry. Right. Was that? I think
but
that
it's true.
But I mean, yeah, for sure.
It's totally true. And that's so frustrating right now. I had an agent the other day, I don't need coaching. I made $100,000 already this year. Well, good for you, man. And so let me just ask you this. What are you going to do when the market shifts? Oh, I'll be just fine. I know you got all the answers at $100,000 a year. Let me tell you something, man. This market is going to chew through agents that are not coachable. And look, I'm not just saying that because I own a coaching company. I'm saying that because whether you're coaching on an organized scale, or whether you're just seeking mentorship from someone, or you're seeking advice from those that have been where you want to go and have done what you want to do, you've got to be teachable. You've got to be willing to learn, and you've got to be willing to be humble. And I'm saying this to myself too, by the way. Mike, you and I got to continue, we've got to constantly look at ourselves. We got to be humble and say, hey, look, if I don't keep my foot on the gas, if I don't keep showing up at the office, if I don't keep doing the things that I know I need to do to succeed on a daily basis, then guess what? I will struggle too. I'm right there with everybody else. So I got to keep learning. Like right now, I'm working on an important part of my business having to do with lead generation, where I need to learn some new skills. And so I'm working really hard to learn those new skills, and it's going to cost me a lot of money to learn those new skills. Okay. I'm willing to pay that price, because I know that if I don't learn those new skills, I won't evolve. And if I don't evolve, my business will fail, because everyone else around me will be evolving and I won't be. And
let's say we scared the heck out of these agents and they go, okay. Well, let's just, what are like 3 to 5 things that our agents watching this can kind of, like, what can we put in their heads? Like maybe actionable steps or things they can write down and say, look, this is what I need to do. I need to put this up on my wealth chart or my, vision board in front of me every day. What is it? Like, what do you have?
So
everybody wants us to talk about REO right now, and I'm not going to do it.
Well, and I talked to Toby about that a little bit as well. And we launched,
let's wait till the end. Let's wait till the end. Let's wait till the end to talk about REO.
We can talk about that. But here's the thing. Understand this. Let's talk about habits, right? So if you're talking about the vision board, like, that's going to be different for everybody. What they want, what they really want to accomplish, all that's going to be different for everybody. But if you're talking about the how to get there is very simple. And I feel like I've been very consistent in saying this. And some of you have probably heard this from me more than you care to, but you can't hear it enough. I promise you. There's 3 things you have to do every single day if you want to continue to succeed. And I don't care if you are an agent I don't care what brokerage. If you're an agent working for a brokerage to go out and sell houses, great. If you're trying to build an organization like Mike, you're building an organization in EXP, you've got to do the same 3 things. The difference is, instead of you going out to find buyers and sellers, you're going out to find agents, but you got to do the same 3 things. And here they are. Write these down. Everybody grab a freaking pen. 3 most important things anybody's ever going to tell you about success. This is what it comes down to. Well, actually, I'll give you a few. I'm going to give you more than 3, but I'm going to give you the 3 mechanical things you have to get ninja at every single day. These 3 things you got to do at a world-class level. Number 1 is lead generation. You have to become a rock star at lead generation. And you've got to eventually get lead generation to where it's on autopilot, so that instead of chasing business, you're attracting business. And it takes time to do that. And some people would say, oh, that just means I do business by referral, so I already just attract business. No, that's not true. What that means is you've used I do business exclusively by referrals as an excuse for poor performance in every other area of marketing in your business. What you need to do is you need to learn how to market and sell in every area in your business, not just referrals. Referrals are great, but they're not enough. Number 2, you've got to get wicked awesome at lead follow-up. You've got to become amazing at lead follow-up. And if you don't, I'll tell you, it's funny because the lead generation part, Mike has that entirely on autopilot now. Mike does not have to work very hard at all, if at all, to generate leads, because he did the work once over a long period of time, really got good at it, and developed his lead sources in automated fashion. So now all he's got to do is follow up. And Mike, you as an example are getting to that point now in your business where you are getting lead follow-up automated. So now Mike is this close to where all he's got to do is lead conversion, and that's it. That's all he has to do. So that's number 3. So it's lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion. If you don't master those 3 things, in the next 18 months, you will be out of business. I'm telling you, you got to get good at those 3 things. Now, those 3 things only matter if you're clear on where you're going. They only matter if you know what you want to accomplish and you're willing to put the time, effort, energy into accomplishing that, and you develop the daily habits to do so. I'll give you an example. A lot of people say, okay, well, Michael, I make 100 phone calls a day. Well, good for you. That does no good if you don't set any appointments. Well, but Michael, I have 50 conversations a day. Whoop-de-freaking do. I don't care how many conversations you have. If you don't set an appointment, it doesn't matter. Coach Mike, a friend of yours and mine, is Coach Luigi Caprio, one of the smartest guys. I love that guy. He's one of the most wonderful people on this planet. He's one of our coaches at Club Wealth, as Mike knows. But Luigi taught me this, I don't know, several years ago. He said, Michael, we got to quit focusing on the effort we put into it, and we have to start focusing on the result, because that's all that matters. If we don't start focusing on the number of appointments that we actually set in a day, it doesn't matter how many phone calls we make, because what we'll do is, and by the way, you guys, I'm not a big cold caller. I'm not suggesting that you have to call FSBOs and expireds and all that stuff, but you're going to have to call your freaking leads. Okay. I don't care how you generate a lead. Eventually you got to pick up the freaking phone and you got to get voice to voice. And eventually you got to get face to face, whether it's over Zoom or whether it's in person. And so what Luigi was saying is, Michael, until we focus on setting enough of these appointments, our people are not going to be as successful as they should be. And he was right. And so as soon as we started shifting it from how many calls you make, how much time and how much time you spend making those calls to, because what happens is then all you're doing is, how do I get off this phone so I can make more calls, instead of how do I get this person to set an appointment with me? And when we shifted that mindset, all of a sudden the results started to follow. So write this number down. This is what you guys all need to do. Mike, what do you think? How many appointments a day does someone need to set, no matter what, if they want to make a guaranteed net 6-figure income?
Only 6 figures?
Only 6 figures.
Well, 1.
That's it. 1 appointment a day. That's exactly right. 1 appointment a day, 5 days a week. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Well, you make sure, but you want to set that number at a minimum of 1 appointment a day. Now watch this. You want to make 7 figures a year? Start setting 4 appointments a day.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you this, my team so for my team personally, we have a minimum expectation of 3 appointments per day. That's it. Yeah, Nevin Alexander says, well, what about 7 figures? That's it, Nevin. So if you'll set 4 appointments a day, you'll get your 7 figures.
Right. And by the way, Nevin, that's talking to 100 or 50 people a day. If you talk to 50 people a day, you're going to be able to set those appointments, not calls. And I love that you said that, because a lot of my team is watching this right now. And we check in every afternoon. And you guys, some of you haven't been lately, but they check in on Marco Polo with me. Hey, Mike, I made this many calls. This is what's going on. I need help with this. And we talk every afternoon. But now I'm so sick of, I made 100 calls today, to where, how many appointments did you set? Like they're working so hard on calls. And it's like,
that's right.
Yes, we track calls and we count your calls, but the reality is how come some people are converting into appointments and some people are just calling their life away? Right. I saw a post the other day that was so funny. Somebody was talking about KV Core, our CRM, and we don't use it, but everybody else does, right? So she was talking about how working smarter, not harder, and this girl told, I forget it was Lab Coat or Club Wealth or something, but she's all, why don't you just go ahead and knock your life away? And I thought about that, and I just went, man, it's so true, because with technology, we can set 4 appointments a day, right? Like, I mean, I have a company right now, and they guarantee to set me so many companies a month, right? And I know when they're working, because my calendar fills up. Like, I know they work Monday mornings. I know that for a fact, because they set 4 appointments for me already this morning. And I'm like, so I know. So it makes me think, well, I don't get appointments Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They're only working on my account 1 day, and they're setting 4 appointments. Those are good people. Those are good callers, right? That's a good little call center. They're jamming all the appointments right away. That's the conversion appointments I'm talking about. Like, man, it's so nuts. So the pipeline that we're talking about is, if you're lead gen, lead follow, and you have to say it on my thing, because I live to say it, and I learned it from you, the fortunes and the follow-up. I mean, right? So
you got that right.
Even Lindsay I can't say her name. You can't.
Korchak.
You can't say it either. I just got off the phone with her a little while ago this morning.
She's one of our coaches too. I love
yeah,
it.
and we were, well, all I talked to is coaches and badasses, right? So it's so funny because we were talking about follow-up. She said something that was so key, and she goes, yeah, I did it, and I just happened to follow up, and I got the appointment, and it was a big appointment, right? And I'm like, geez, like every time I talk to somebody, it's only success comes up when you do talk about the follow-up. And then when I teach classes, I say, you can talk all day long to people, but if you can't convert, it just doesn't matter. That's why I'd say an hour a day of skill set is so crucial for our teams, because, man, I mean, you could get somebody literally on the phone every hour that truly wants to sell a home, but if you're not asking the right questions and trying to get the appointment, you won't know. They'll just hang up and say, well, that Mike Bjorkman sure was a nice agent. I really would like to sell my house. Now I'm going to call Michael Hellickson, right? Like, he couldn't do it, obviously. And these people just want good information, and they want somebody to be confident and help them. And that's why that follow-up into the skill set is so crucial right now. But I love what you're saying, and we're kind of going back to the basics about 12 to 16 months from now. And there's something that you said, and we breezed over it so fast, is the consistency. Right? Because I keep seeing something that I hate, the new normal, right? I don't want the new normal. It's not the new normal. This is temporary, guys. This is just temporary. There's no new normal. And Zoom's not the new normal. It's been normal for years. You've just been under a rock. So it's like the new normal, when this new normal is over in 6 months, we're going to be right back to where we were, completely normal. But here's the difference. Interest rates are going to go up a little bit. Inventory is going to open up a little bit. Whatever repercussions of all this free money and fake goohoo Wismo, fake cash and all this unemployment stuff, when that goes away, there are going to be some people hurting. So we are going to have the new normal. It's called a normal market. And normal agents don't succeed in a mother effing normal market. They need to be awesome. They need to be coachable, like you said. They need to be coached, and they need to be consistent. And all these things coming together is going to cause a massive exodus of real estate agents, which personally, me, I hate to say it, I can't wait to see it, but I just like our industry being awesome, right? But this is going to cause some serious havoc in a lot of people's lives, and we need to make darn sure, you and me, and even we got John Cheplack watching. Can't wait to see you. We're going to Cheplack's house in a couple of weeks. Can't wait. But like, we have to continue teaching and coaching our teams to do exactly what we're talking about now. Yes, I wear flip-flops 9 out of 10 days, but that's me, right? If I was going to go on listing appointments all day, every day, I'd look just like you. But I have a different goal in life, and that's to help agents, right? And I'm just working with them. But actually, I did take a 1.7 million Friday night in flip-flops, but but I work on my skill set a lot. But the whole thing is exactly what you said. And what else comes with that? What else comes with the consistency? What else comes with I think something else he said, and I just want to give you a hint. That's the habits.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second. So, and I'm speaking to everybody on this, but I want your team to pay special attention to this. When you talk about habits and you talk about consistency, when I hear some of my team members aren't showing up on our afternoon call, there's one thing that comes to my mind. Well, Mike, the reality is some of your team members won't be on your team a year from now or 2 years from now. And I would venture to guess that a higher percentage, not all, but a higher percentage of those that are not showing up on those calls consistency will not be on the team 2 years from now than those that are. And as an example, here's the thing. All of us have free agency. All of us need to choose to allow ourselves to be subject to boundaries and to scenarios that encourage us to be more successful. We get to choose that with our free agency, right? So it's not that somebody's going to force you to be successful. Mike's not going to force his team to be successful. They have to choose to be successful. And in doing so, they got to choose to do the basics like show up on that call. Now, I'll tell you, if it were my team, and Mike, I don't know how you guys run it on yours, but if it were my team, if you're not on that call every day, well, you're not eligible for the leads. Simple as that. Because clearly you're too busy to be on the call. You must be too busy to help our clients that we're going and generating for you. So when you're able to be on the call, we'll know that you have opened up some bandwidth and you're now able to handle the leads again, and we'll turn your leads back on. Until then, we're going to just put them on hold so that you can get caught up. Won't that be great? Right? Like you're doing them a favor. I mean, it's just,
Won't that be great?
right. I knew you'd catch that. I love it.
But for real, it's like, that's it, right? Like Larry, my team leader, is awesome, right? He's doing amazing things with our team. And we have to have 125 outbound calls. We have to have 3 minimum huddles a week. If that was up to me, it'd be 4 or 5, but he's pretty lax and just makes them do 3, 2 call nights a month, which is fabulous. Even, and I was listening to somebody talk to him the other day about call night. Well, how do we do call night? He goes, show up and I'll show you. I was so proud. And then what else is it? There's a couple other things, and that's all you have to do to get all these $1 billion leads, right? It's just insane, absolutely insane. But yeah, accountability is everything, and I don't want to be mean accountable, right? You know, again, like John tells us, we're going to observe and notice without judgment. But at some point, you know, they're going, like, I remember one time you were in my office and fired one of my teammates.
Oh, I didn't fire her. She chose to free herself and place herself back into the workforce. So,
we want more of that, right?
That's right.
And as this market changes, you're going to have to be tough. You're going to have leather skin. You're going to have to be a driver, go-getter. And you're going to have to be very passionate about your industry. You can't be passive about it. Right now, the only thing that sucks right now is there's no inventory. So you might have to write 20 offers. But the reality is when that turns, I mean, do you remember the day you used to say show the same house Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, and they would just think about it for weeks before they'd write an offer? Meanwhile, it would be a $10,000 price reduction, $10,000 price reduction, and they go, well, I don't know if we should buy this house because it's gone down 10,000 every 3 weeks while we've been thinking about it. Remember what that was like?
That time's coming again.
Back.
It'll come back. 100%.
When you show 20 homes in a day to the same buyer, that's normal. Today in our town, we have 250 homes on the market. It's supposed to be 2,000. And you don't need to show homes. You just meet somebody at a property. Now, back in the day, you would show them 20 homes.
That's right.
And by the time you got done showing them 20 homes, 5 more were on the market, and that was your tomorrow. You know, it's like, oh my God. So I'm just glad we're having this talk, because it's firing me up to fire my team up and to fire all of our coaching clients up. And it's just like, because it's gonna come. The new normal is gonna be over.
So here's what people need to understand. They need to understand, again.
We're talking about habits. That's right.
Well, yeah, you got to keep your foot on the gas, and you got to develop the habits that are going to carry you through this, right? And so what does that look like? Right? First and foremost, get your freaking butt up in the morning, right? Stop with this whole, I'm going to sleep in, I'm going to take it easy, because guess what? The people that are going to be in the best shape in November and December and January of this coming, the November, December, and January, they're going to be the ones that had their foot on the gas August, September, October, right? So get your foot back on that gas. I get it. You know, oh, but times are good. You gotta take some, you gotta smell the roses and all this stuff.
My alarm went off at 5 a.m. and I cussed my brains out, but I still got up.
That's
Monday
right.
morning, 5 a.m. It's still a habit that I have to work.
And this from a guy who has
I'm back.
Okay, but Mike, let's use you as an example. This from a guy who makes enough residual income right now that you don't have to get up. You can pay your bills with your residual income right now.
I don't ever have to get up.
You don't have to get up, but you still do. Why? Because you understand as well or better than 99% of the people out there that guess what? Things change. And just because you've got this great residual income right now is not a guarantee that you'll have it in a year or 2 years or 5 years or who knows. Because guess what? The people that are out there that are selling those houses that are creating that residual income, guess what? Some of those people aren't going to be in business in 2 to 5 years. So guess what you got to do? You got to continue to help them be more successful so that you can continue to be more successful. And this is, you guys, I just can't say that it's enough. The number one enemy in real estate right now is complacency. And I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing everybody believing their own hype and forgetting the basics, forgetting the habits, forgetting to do every single day. So here's what I want you to write down. I want you guys to ask yourself this. What is the one habit you need to change right now? What do you need to change right now? No matter what do you like? What you know what it is? I don't know. It's not the same for everybody. You know what your one habit is. What is that one thing that you need to fix? If you're watching on Facebook, type it into the Facebook feed if you're willing to share it. If you're not willing to share it, then at least write it down for yourself somewhere else. But I would really like to know, what is that thing that you know you need to fix in your life, in your business, in your habits to ensure success, whether it's at work or at home or in some other area of your life? What's that one thing? Write that
Your
down.
one thing, Michael.
My one thing, I've got a new skill set I've got to learn. There's Coach Mark Benefield just walking by me right now. I'll be done in about 20 minutes. Sorry, he just flew over to Seattle to see his son. His son works for us or works with us. But that said, my one thing right now is I have to learn. I've got a new skill set that I'm working on. I'm learning to do funnels at a deeper level. And so that's what I'm working on right now. And so I'm committed to, what I've done is I've taken myself out of the day-to-day operations of the business, and I'm focusing more and more and more of my time on a daily basis, learning this process and playing with this process to implement it at a higher level. So there you go. What's your one thing?
My one thing is to master my database. Because right now it's there. Yeah. And, I've turned myself off of notifications. I've turned myself off of almost all of our email. I've turned myself off of everything. But my database, because follow-up fortunes in the follow-up, I need to make dang sure that I am getting notified. Don't forget to call Michael. Don't forget to call Michael. Don't forget to call Michael. And I need to master those campaigns, because funnels are a really big, important thing for us nowadays too, right? So I dreaded funnel learning. I just, when clicked funnels came out, I go, no, there's another thing I have to learn. 10 years later, here we are, it's not going away. It's just not. So
I love that you said database, because I'll tell you, for most, that's one of the very first things that we work with people on with coaching. It's actually in the first 30 days of coaching with us, we're going through their CRM and their database and helping them understand, how do I need, number one, how do I build, sort, and qualify my database, right? How do I get more people in there? How do I sort those people? And then how do I qualify them and decide who am I going to work with and who am I not going to work with, and who's ready now and who's going to be ready later? You guys, there's so much money, and there's lots of ways to make money in this business. There's over 2,000 lead sources. Sphere of influence is just one of them. But all of your lead sources, every one of them, goes into your database. So it's not just about referrals. It's not just about past clients. It's not just about current clients. It's about every lead that comes into your database. And how do you build, sort, and qualify that database to ensure that you're getting the very most out of it? So Mike, what are you changing about your database? What's something that you're altering to make your database be more profitable for you?
Well, I'm making it right now. Deanna, our marketing specialist, is starting to use it properly, right? So my phone has tens of thousands of people in it. Oh. Somehow I'm going to learn how to not use my contact address book in my phone, right? That's I should have said that is my commitment, to where I only use KV Core. Right. And we do use FirePoint for Ylopo and all that stuff. But I personally am going to use KV Core because of the thousands of agents in our organization. They use it. I need to learn that. Right. So that is where I'm going to be using all my time, because, let's be honest, I travel a lot and I don't want to carry a laptop with me. I want to carry my phone only. And I want to be able to use that and launch the campaigns. But more importantly, I want to watch the funnels dripping into there and being sorted, right? So it doesn't seem like a hard skill set to learn, but it really is to do it right. And that's that. I just want everything to be organized in my life now. I want the chaos gone, right? Chaos is.
It's kind of like wakeboarding or wake surfing, right, Mike? Where it's not hard to learn, to get up and just be up. But to really become proficient at it and to really be able to do it at a high level, that takes effort, that takes practice, that takes doing it over and over and over again, repetition. And they say it's not practice that makes perfect, it's perfect practice that makes perfect, right? Which is, earlier you were talking about, I want to throw this out there before I forget. You were talking about, basically role play and script practice and that sort of thing. And I always tell people, if you want to do more script practice, set more freaking appointments and practice on real people.
Right? It's real when it's real people. Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because then they don't have the script, and now you got to actually learn how to resolve concerns. And yes, you can memorize objection handlers and stuff like that, and you should. That said, you need more freaking appointments to get better at this. Now, we had a couple of comments in the Facebook feed there.
While you're reading that, I want to mention something, you guys listening to this and in the future. Most of you know that I refer 99% of people I talk to Club Wealth for coaching. And it's funny because I always have to monitor the quality of all the coaches, because there's so many new coaches that I don't know everybody. And, you know, a lot of them I either coach or know very well. So when I talk to these newer agents and I watch, like, you guys listening, if you join Club Wealth, your business doubles in the first 90 days, right? It just does. It's magic. I don't know how, but I do know how, because I do follow up with all those people. And what you said is right. The very first thing we do is work on database, right? So once your database is put together, your business doubles. It's just the way it is, right? And then the second thing, and I always say the first thing I talk about when I start coaching somebody is mindset, you know, and then we move more into skill set. But that skill set, people I say, Mike, how in the hell did you become such a good agent? How? And I say practice. And yes, I always practice skill set and self-help an hour a day for the last 25 years. But the reality is what you said is true. I went to every expired and every for sale by owner I could find. And that's practice, let me tell you. So after, 6 months of working with FSBOs and expireds, you are a master, period.
So, okay, but Mike, the way you were able to do that, and this is, I want to dispel a myth out there, and I won't say who, but there's a coach out there, a big coach that's been around for longer than I've been around, that would tell people, well, you only go on an appointment if it's an 8, 9, or a 10 on the motivation scale, and if you're almost positive they're going to list with you when you get there. And that is the worst advice on the planet, right? Like, that's terrible. That's not how Mike and I did it. Mike and I are like, look, you got a pulse, you got a house to sell, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Let's go. Like, let's figure it out. Because now I'm going to be Jerry freaking Maguire in your living room, right? I get an at bat. And whether I get that listing or not, I'm going to learn in that moment. I'm going to hone my skills. I'm going to refine my checklist. I'm going to learn what the objections are so I know how to handle the next time. And the next time I get that objection, I'm going to be a little bit better at it. And the next time I'll be a little bit better than the last time, and so on, until I get really, really good at this. Now, switching topics for a moment, Larry Fleischman and David, I think it's pronounced Bracetta or Bracetta?
Yeah, both on my team.
Oh, fantastic. Okay,
Larry is my team leader.
Oh, fantastic. So Larry and David both came up with something very, very important, which was their one thing that they're going to be working on, which is time management. Now,
that was supposed to be this class.
Are you serious? Okay. Well, let me start with this. David and Larry, I want you to go to clubwealth.com/PDS. Clubwealth.com/PDS. There's an hour-long video on the perfect daily schedule. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. Just go watch it and then go talk to Mike about it. After you watch that video, talk to Mike and say, okay, this is what I got out of it. Here's the notes I took. What do you think? And he'll work with you on really and I'm totally committing your time. Sorry, Mike. But, but he'll work with you on dialing it in. Right? But think about this. Time management as such, and we talk about the perfect daily schedule. It's never going to be perfect. What it's going to be is better than yesterday, right? What it's going to be is the best it can be today. What it's going to be is a constant reminder, this is what I need to do each day to get to where I want to go. So that as you're developing your perfect daily schedule, your thought process is, okay, if I want to get here, what's it going to take to get there? And if this is good, what's amazing, right? And if I plan my perfect daily schedule around this would be amazing, this would be where I really want to get, then I'll definitely get to where I need to get at a bare minimum. And so what does that look like? It looks like time blocking every minute of every day. As an example, if you are checking email, you heard Mike talk about turning notifications off. If you're checking email, voicemail, text messages, Facebook messages, or any of that kind of stuff prior to noon every day, you need to analyze where you're at. Now, it's one thing if you say, I'm going to do it, like when I get up first thing in the morning, I get up at 3:30 every morning, right? So when I get up, I'll spend a half hour responding to messages and that sort of thing. And I'll get on social media for about an hour and a half. And I, crush it on social media for about an hour and a half. And then I get ready, I go to the office and I'm done. and I'm on with my day. And I don't check email, Facebook Messenger, text message, or any of that stuff until after noon. So I have my very focused window of time between basically 7:30 in the morning and noon, where I don't do anything but the focused appointments in front of me. That level of discipline will carry the day. As an example, when I was selling, I was listing about 50 to 75 houses a month myself, not counting my team, not counting REO. That was just retail. I would do that in 12 days a month. How in the world did I freaking do that? Because I would literally every day, I would make 115 to 125 follow-up calls per day in the car in between appointments. So I didn't call my wife during the day. I didn't call my kids during the day. I didn't listen to podcasts and all that stuff during the day. Well, of course, we didn't have podcasts back then.
I was going to say, what year was that, bro?
We had recordings, right? We had 8 tracks. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. But you get the point. The point is there's a time for those things, and I would schedule those things at a time that was convenient for me, not at a time that was convenient for the rest of the world. And during that moment that I was supposed to be making my follow-up calls, guess what? I was present in the moment. I made my follow-up calls, and I knew how many appointments I had to set, and I would set that number of appointments. So for me, it was 6 to 8. I would set my 6 to 8 appointments every single day, no matter what, and I would not end my day until I set my 6 to 8 appointments. And if that meant I was calling people at 8 o'clock at night, then I was calling people at 8 o'clock at night, and I would do it until I got my appointments.
Yeah, and then that's how I was with my 50 people a day. I would not go to sleep until I talked to 50 people a day. We've been talking a lot about time management lately, because I'm running 4 different companies, and I still like to take a lot of time off, and I still want to talk and genuinely give value to all my people on my team, right? So we have to leverage time, people, and money, and I say it all the darn time. But the reality is these things that you just talked about, voicemail, email, and text messages and all that stuff, that's somebody else's checklist, right? It's somebody else's to-do list. So they're putting their own to-dos in your to-do. So I over the last, I go back and forth. I used to be an email freak. I wanted to make sure I saw all my email. And now all my email accounts forward to my office manager, Debbie, right? So I tell Debbie, check my email several times a day, not all day, every day, and handle anything possible you can handle. If there's anything that I need to know about right away, Marco Polo me. And all my voicemails, I use Umail, the app.
Love it.
And that forwards all my voicemails to her too, so she can handle that. So maybe 2 or 3 times a day, she's like, hey, you better get on your email. There's something, da-da-da-da-da. And that's important, right? So 2 or 3 times a day, I could be bothered, but I can get so much more done. I don't think I kind of wish I could log her into all my Apple stuff so she can actually get my text messages too. But as well as I do, that's probably not real good for your office manager to get all Mike Bjorkman's text messages. But if I could do that, that would be spectacular, right? Like then I would have a free day. So the other day I was coaching a guy and we compared our daily schedules, and I was talking about leverage. I was talking about delegation, more importantly. And I said, look, let's look at my schedule today and let's look at yours. And I started with his, and it said, it literally was like bring flyers to Cherry Street and, things like that. I was just cringing. Right. And I never really dissected my schedule that much, but I had about 12 appointments all in a row, and I stopped at 3 p.m. Every single one of them were highly money-making activities that only I could do. There's no way I could delegate these particular things. Every single thing, and that's what I just showed him. I did a screen share on Zoom, and I said, look, do you see anything on my calendar that's not productive? There's nothing there. And that's how I can run 3 or 4 companies at a time and still take 4 or 5 days a week off, right? But it was an eye-opener for myself too. So, and as we're talking about what to do over the next 12 months, this would be a really good time for you guys to dial in that perfect daily schedule. Now, if you've ever seen me speak, I don't think you've ever seen me talk about the perfect daily schedule, Michael, but I took it right off your website, because I promote everything Club Wealth.
Thank you.
And I say, as a very expressive driver, I cannot micromanage my day down into 10 to 20 minute increments, but the idea is right for some, but it's just like, look, if there's anything on that you can delegate, do it. if there's anything. And people say, oh, I can't afford an assistant. I can't afford a VA. You can't afford not to have
That's
that.
right.
Because when you hire that first assistant, your business doubles, period. And I'm honest with people when I talk about delegation. I told them my first time I hired an assistant, I was 20 years old and I didn't know what to do with an assistant. But I knew my assistant was sitting next to me and my assistant was paid on bonuses. Terrible idea, by the way.
Yeah.
And
I was just going to say, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. She would look at me and say, what are you doing right now? I'd be like, I don't know. We'll get to work. So it forced me to do the things that mattered. Back out to FSBOs, expireds, planning my open houses, previewing property, doing my skill set. And then before you know it, and this is why you don't hire somebody, because I was paying her $1,000 a file because I was brand new. I didn't know. I said, okay, I sell one home a month. She was worth 12 grand a year. Well, the next year we sold 100 houses. My assistant was making more money than me. So don't ever do that, you guys. You know what I mean? So it is pretty crazy. But that alone, creating the good habits, delegating, working smarter, not harder, taking advantage of some of the technology that we have, and putting that together, I think, over the next 12 months, because then you're going to be able to talk to 2 or 3 times the amount of people. You're going to be a fighter. You're going to have all your scripts and dialogues and everything down pat. And then when it comes time to deal with the real world, the not new normal and a normal market, you're going to succeed at a very high level. And that's going to be everything. That's going to be the difference between getting out of the business or staying in the business. And a lot of you people that I'm looking at some of the names on right here, it's like, you have those spouse or partners that say, you're going to have to get a real job if you don't figure this out. That's when that conversation is going to happen. Yep. And as the market's going down and your spouse coming down on you too, and your family's missing you because you're doing open houses all day, every day, and they don't get to see you, that's when you start going, you know what, maybe Walmart is better for me. I can control that, or it can control me, So these are the times where it's like, let's take it very seriously and go and go and go. And you'll see it'll all pan out perfectly fine.
So one of the things about your little pooch is going crazy over there.
That's my neighbor's dogs.
Oh, is that your neighbor's dog?
They chase their chickens all day long over there.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Sorry.
Well, let me give you guys an exercise you can do right now that you don't need to. I mean, we do this in coaching. This is one of the things we do in the first 60 days with our clients, but you can do it without a coach. But I can tell you, if I look at your schedule for the last 2 weeks, I can tell you what you're going to make. If I know your average sales price in your market, I can tell you pretty close what you're going to make in the next 2 years. So here's what I want you to do. I want you for the next week, just do it for a week to start with. I want you to track every single thing you do every single day. And just literally go into your Outlook calendar, Google Calendar, whatever calendar you use. And every single day, I want you, so you'll probably have some appointments in there and all that. That's great. I want you to pick a color, because all these calendars can be color coded now. So I want you to pick a color that is what I actually did. I don't care what color it is. Just pick a color that's what I actually did. Now, if you really want to if you're not already using color coding, then I would use red for things that you did that did not lead directly to a listing or a sale. And I want you to use green for things that actually were money-making activities, things that actually produced or led directly to a listing or sale. And I want you to start tracking this for a week. And then a week later, I want you to go back and I want you to look at that calendar and I want you to think to yourself, how much red time did I have versus how much green time did I have? And by the way, red time would include all the stuff you did that wasn't working, all the stuff that you did that wasn't focused. So, I got to the office and I chatted with one of my coworkers for a half hour. That's red, right? Or, I got to the office and I started calling my follow-up calls. Well, that's green, right? Mark that down. And I'll tell you, this will be eye-opening and you will see very, very quickly what is wrong in your business. And it's tough. This is a tough exercise for a lot of people to go through. But I'll promise you this, you'll start thinking differently about your habits and about your business if you'll do it. It's kind of like when you start looking at your budget for the first time. If you really go back through and you look at your expenses, right? What happens when you look at your credit card statement and your bank statement, all your expenses for the last 30 days? I'll bet if you actually did that, and if you do that on a regular basis, type that into your screen. How many of you actually look at your expenses at least once a month? I'm curious. And I'll tell you that I'll have Mike just all of a sudden jumped into the boardroom. I love it.
Well, I have to go back in the house now. Those dogs are a little out of control.
They're going crazy. Nevin says, yes, I'm doing it. I want to know, if you are doing this on a regular basis, what have you noticed? Is it making a difference in how you think about money? Because for most people, it will. For most people, as you do that, you will start to think differently about money. You'll start to think differently about where you're spending money. You'll be a little bit more careful, even at just a subconscious level, on where you spend your dollars. And I'm telling you, it will add up at the end of the year, and you'll make more money at the end of the year just by being aware of where the money's being spent. Same thing with your time. It's exactly the same principle. If you'll do this with your time, you'll be more aware at a subconscious level, and you'll spend your time doing things that are more important. For example, think about this. Every minute that you spend in your office is a minute you're not with your family. If you're really doing this for your family, which most people say, oh, I'm doing it for my family. Really? So does your family really need you working 100-hour weeks? Is that really what they need from you? So if you're really doing it for your family, understand that every minute you're at the office, you're not with your family. So how do you change that? How do you start getting more focused on, I want to make every minute in that office more efficient and more effective so that I can spend more time with my family? That's what it takes. All right. So Mike, how did you do that? How did you go from working, I mean, because look, I know you've had years where you spent, where you were working 100-hour weeks. Well, how now are you able to work 2 to 3 days a week and make incredible money?
It's literally time management. I only do things that make me money, right? That's it. That's all I do. And I don't do anything else. We have somebody for everything. And when I catch myself doing something that's not productive, I acknowledge it and I say, are you okay doing what you're doing right now? And the way it happened was, at 21 years old, I started doing really good, and I was working 100-hour weeks, and I was getting burnt out. I was getting tired. I was getting grumpy. And I did that for many years. And then I met my wife, right? And then I was like, uh-oh, she doesn't like when I work till midnight. Or I didn't like it. I like to go out to dinner and go on dates and take weekends off. And then I started making the money that I always wanted to. So now I wanted to enjoy that money. I bought really expensive boats. I bought a home out of state on a lake. I bought all kinds of stuff. And I said, this is way more fun than working. But I knew there was a fine balance.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay.
And then I said, okay, if I want to stay in Lake Havasu for 4 days out of 7, what am I going to do on those 3 days when I get back that will enable me to do that? So then I learned about, dollar productive activities. And I said, look, all I can do is go on listing appointments and follow up phone calls, right? That's all I can do on those 3 days or 4 days or whatever. And that's how I learned, right? And then when I got burnt out on that vacationing, I just did something else. But you create these habits that are unbreakable if you follow them. And even today, like my wife and kids hate it because I'll look at my kid and I'll say, what are you doing right now? How is that productive? How is that changing your life? How is that going to make a difference? And they're just like, Dad, relax. I just got done eating. I'm but still, like, I notice when people aren't productive. And it's so funny because as a coach, I look at people's production. I look at their attitudes. I look at what they do. I look at their social media, and most agents realistically work maybe 2 or 3 hours a day, maybe. Yet they say they worked a 12 or 14-hour day. No, you spent 14 hours wasting time. For 2 hours, you did something really good. And I just broke it down with another guy this morning. I'm like, how did you work 14-hour days over the weekend, right? And I'm just looking going, man, like, and that's what I told him. I said, we build teams. That's what we do. We'll take you from 50 sales to 100 sales and make you have double the money and work half amount of that time. And that's the attraction to our team and our organization, because we actually help people do that, right? And it's amazing.
But Mike, that's important. I don't want to gloss over that. That's a very important aspect of this. People say, so many people would criticize teams and say, well, only the team leader gets to benefit from the leverage of other people's time. And the team leader is the only one getting any benefit out of this. And you and I know very differently than that. Speak to that, man. I mean, you think, what would you say to those people?
I would, well, it depends on what part of the team you want to be on, right? And I want to point out that there's a lot of different teams. I'm building teams across the nation right now that are teams like nobody's ever heard of. Like, some people literally hate listing appointments. So like last week we hired 2 listing agents for this one agent that loves to work with buyers, right? And then we hired showing agents, 2 of them for one buyer's agent, right? They use a VA and they use a independent third-party transaction coordinator. And finally, I talked them into one personal assistant because we were breaking down their schedules, and literally they're picking up dry cleaning and food all day long. It was just mind blowing. So I'm like, no more, you get a personal assistant. But anyway, so the team, like, so your transaction coordinator or your office manager or something, they get to work how they want to work. Like, God bless Debbie, my office manager. We got a stupid REO, and you know how much hassle an REO can be when you're not set up for it. We haven't had REO in Southern California. We didn't need runners and bookkeepers, and this poor girl's learning Equator the other day, and she's like crying, like, I don't want to work weekends. Oh my God, what happened? We're trying to hurry up and get the tasks done and all that stuff. And I'm like, so sorry. We'll go back to normal, I swear. But they get to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
That's right.
Buyer's agents, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, if they want. Me as a listing agent, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, if I want. Like, everybody gets to work whatever hours they want to. Right. So I have a team of 12 people for my property management company. Since COVID started, not one of them are in the office. They come in to pick up a deposit check or whatever they do. And they are working more efficient and more effective from home than I could ever imagine. But I know they're doing money-making activities because our income is improving, right? And I think they're just so scared because I don't want to go back to the office. I'm going to make them if they're not productive, but they're having a blast, right? But they can literally work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if they so choose, and take 4 days off, as long as all their work's done. Everybody on my teams know they can work whenever, however. I don't care if they take days off. And it's kind of funny because I'll have people around me and I'll get a Marco Polo from one of my assistants or staff or something. They'll be like, yeah, I'm going to the beach Thursday, Friday. I'm okay, have fun, enjoy, and they're just like, what was that? That was somebody who works for me? Well, yeah, that's what they get to do when they work for me. They get to go where they want, when they want, how they want, with who they want, whenever they want, as long as their work is done. They're like, wow, but that's, I hope that answered your question.
Well, it does. At the end of the day, here's the thing. What we've got to understand is if you want to be successful, you've got to make sure that you're getting it done. And there's a big difference between working and getting stuff done, right? Time and efficiency, or let me rephrase, time and effectiveness are 2 very different things. Time and efficiency are closely related. Time and efficiency are closely related, but time and effectiveness are not. And so, that being said, you touched on REO. Let's talk about REO for just a second because we're running out of time. I know we've only got a few minutes left. So REO and short sales. I heard you say that you guys have just been working in Equator. Does that mean REO is coming back? What's happening?
Yeah, so it'll come back. It'll come back very differently. And everybody saw the article. It said 135 million Americans are posed to lose their home. It was written and reproduced everywhere in the last week or so. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I think some will. Some will happen. It'll be very different. I'm actually doing some consulting right now for a few different outsourcers on how to handle pre-approved short sales, how to delegate that out to the agents and that kind of stuff. But I do believe we are very we got to be ready for it, right? So we have to have an account in Equator. We have to have an account in ResNet. We're so connected in REO that all the asset managers call us. Hey, I'm looking for an agent in this town. I'm looking for an agent in that town. And they're like, but Mike, they're not in Equator. They're not in ResNet. I'm like, I know they're not because we haven't had any REO. You guys are going to have to stop looking for these seasoned REO agents because they all went broke when retail came back. They all went out of business, except for very few of our friends that live in weird parts of the country. For the most part, they're selling Verizon cell phones right now. So I'm like, look, I can get you good agents, but you have to be patient with them. Nobody wants to pay $500 a month for a program when we're not using it. So relax. But yeah, your answer is right. REO's coming back. Equator, Pyramid, ResNet, all the platforms need to be cleaned up, need to be ready to go, all dialed in. You should see how inaccurate all my accounts were. it was like one even said I still worked at Keller Williams like 8 years ago, right? I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I do believe we should be ready for it. And I know your book's coming out. I know
You get the course out actually.
Yeah, the course. I mean, I know you guys worked really hard on that, and I cannot wait to promote the heck out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the answer is yes. REO will be back. It'll be much harder in different parts of the country.
Tell me why. What do you, when you say it's gonna be harder, what do you mean and why?
Well, I meant it's going to come back in bigger waves in different parts of the country, right? A lot of the cities, a lot of the metro cities, that metro, that's it. Metro is going to come back hard. Condos are going to come back hard. But if you thought I was alluding to REO is going to be harder, I think it will be in the beginning, just because we can't travel and do the things we used to. Because REO is a belly to belly business.
I love that you said that. Most people don't understand that. But Mike, I thought if I just did a bunch of BPOs, I'd get a whole bunch of REO. Isn't that true?
No, you get a bunch of BPOs and $10 an hour. That's all you get for that.
That's awesome.
But you know, we got to understand that a lot of our asset managers and our outsourcers left the business. They did a lot of other things. They're doing, you know, most of them are doing loans or in real estate themselves now. You know?
A lot of them, yeah.
So we need to see how the banks are going to regroup and the asset managers, what they're doing. Luckily, you know, we know them still, and DS Pros and Club Wealth, we've never left the business. Even when everybody was doing retail, we were still on secret airplane rides, maintaining our friendships and relationships with the banks, even though it's been 10 years, because we have to do that, right? So there's never a market that's ever going to take myself, my team, or anybody in my organization down. So we have to, as the leaders, we have to maintain those relationships. And we've been able to do that very successfully, believe it or not. So I don't know, but we'll see. We'll start seeing an effect by far by the end of December this year. I think by January, you will start seeing the effects of COVID and some of the stuff. And I think it'll be a bunch of new stuff coming out, you know, new programs for banks, and, you know, the forbearances and all those stuffs are going to still be there, but a little bit different. But I still honestly think the auction websites are going to destroy us. I think auction.com and Zome and those types of things, I'm already seeing it. I think that the banks are going to use agents like, you know, like trash, and a lot of the auction sites will be where it's at.
Where it's all liquidated. Yeah.
Well, I really do. Even right now, like the one I have right now is doing dual path, and they're like, well, we're just going to pay you to kind of babysit this, but we really don't need you for anything. We make sure the windows aren't broken. I'm like, yeah. And it's, you know, and it's kind of nice because the agents are dealing with it. Yeah, just go to auction.com and deal with it. And like, it's kind of like selling new construction all of a sudden.
Yep.
But at some point,
you make a lot less on each transaction, but you still get paid for doing very little. And it gives you inventory. And that's the thing, you know, a lot of agents are asking themselves the question, well, is it even worth it? Is it even worth me getting involved in REO? And I think you and I would agree that given the right circumstances, if you're in the right market, if there's not a ton of competition already, or, you know, if there's enough inventory or poised to be enough inventory in the marketplace that you're in, then yeah, it can be great, because again, it gives you market share. It gives you opportunity for additional leads to come in. And man, yeah. REO leads are great.
I'll tell you right now, we listed this house. We had 30, 40 leads in 24 hours.
Yeah, that's not just offers from other agents. That's leads that now you can go sell something to, whether they buy that or not.
No, that was an eye opener. Yeah. So if I had 10 of those and I had 300 leads coming in a day, I would never pay for a lead again.
That's right. I'm so glad you did that, because I'll be honest with you, Mike, I've never paid for a buyer lead. I don't understand. I mean, when you have enough listings, you don't have to pay for buyer leads, right? And yet right now, paying for buyer leads, and by the way, I'm not saying that other agents should not pay for buyer leads. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying as you shouldn't pay for buyer leads. You definitely should in many cases. In most cases, I would say you're probably going to need to buy some buyer leads. That's okay, right? I'd rather see you market to get your own. And even better, I'd much rather see you listing enough homes that they're just coming to you without you having to do a ton of expensive marketing or buy leads. But understand that means I got to go list houses at a high level. And so that being said, Mike, I know we're out of time, but
Yep. No, that was perfect, man. I love you. I'm very blessed to have you in my life. Thank you very much. And everybody that's watching, if you don't know Michael, I can make a personal introduction. I can get you a strategy call with him for coaching, whatever you guys feel comfortable doing. We're both always here for you to help you get through whatever we're going to be going through. And even though you said we're making money like drunken sailors, or maybe I said that part, but you guys, let's all be careful. Let's get through this market together. The next one. Okay, brother. Anything else?
appreciate it, man. Nah, I love you too. I appreciate you having me on. And guys, seriously, go look at your schedule and dial in your habits. Figure out what that one thing is you got to change. That if you want to really take your game to the next level, you want to start making more money, you want to be able to continue to make what you've been making and more, and not get hammered by what's going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months, then guess what? You got to figure out that one habit. So go dial that habit in. So, awesome, man.
Bye, everybody. You're the best.